Yeah, so we're live, but we're gonna just wait a few minutes for people to hop on, and then we'll get started around 10 o'clock.
Yeah, today we are roasting all the myths and, yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. I'm excited. I think having these conversations, like, we probably should have started like 15 minutes ago because our conversation, I mean, it
What's
helped.
funny?
Yeah, it was fun. Yeah.
Yeah. What about that music, though?
Oh, yes. Let's see. Let's see. Which one should we start with? Let's start with the one that I wanted to start with. It's just the chill music, and then we'll kind of get into this.
Okay, a little upbeat. Perfect for the morning. Get
Yeah.
jamming.
Yeah. Let's see if we can find something else in here.
Snap your fingers.
Let's see.
I don't know. I feel majestic listening to this.
Just free flowing.
Yeah, like I'm falling in outer space.
Oh, goodness. Let's try some jazz, maybe? I feel like that's not like fun jazz music.
Yeah, that's jazz.
Okay. All right. I'm just making sure that we're up and running. Let's see. Oh, good. We're live. That's good. I double checked on Facebook. Let's double check yours. Make sure you're good.
Okay.
Here we get into it.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, I see you. We're live. We live, baby.
Oh no. Mary.
I don't know, you're running. You're sweating.
We're going.
Gotta get out of here.
Goodness gracious. Let's see. They changed it because this was the scary one.
I guess they changed. Let me share it. Where is it? Oh, there it is. Let me hit the boop. Share.
Oh, like the share our live? Ooh, me too.
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. Alrighty, we're getting there. We're about to 10 o'clock.
We are actually.
Oh, look at us. All right. Awesome. So, welcome back to the Real Estate Roast, where we break down the home buying process and roast all the garbage advice out there. I'm Ashley, your friendly neighborhood mortgage lender.
And I'm Mercedes Story, your no fluff realtor with Simply Home.
Who can help you buy a house, rent you an RV, and still have time to feed her sourdough starter. She's like a Pinterest board with a real estate license.
For sure.
Oh man, I hear it all the time that people come to me and they say, Ashley, I can't buy until I save $40,000. But here's the truth. There are legit loan options with 3% down, 3.5% down, and even 0% down, which is awesome.
Exactly. In between the low down payment option assistance, you've got choices too.
Especially if you're working with someone like Mercedes, who will roll up to your showing in an RV, offer you a slice of homemade bread, and negotiate you into house like it's a campsite on a holiday weekend. Mercedes helps buyers get into homes with no money down and still somehow has enough dough left over to knead, bake, and negotiate. Truly a one-woman show.
Hey, if I can rise like a roof, if I can rise like a roast, a loaf of if I can rise like a loaf of bread and get you into your home that you dream of, I'm all down for it.
Okay, Great British Bake Off. Let's break down some of the main loan options instead of your crusty puns.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So first of all, we've got our FHA loan, which is 3.5% down. We've got flexible credit there, great for first-time home buyers. But I will caveat and say that this does not mean that if you are a first-time home buyer, that this is the best option for you. So make sure you always ask your loan officer to make sure. We've got our conventional 97, which is only 3% down. It's better for higher credit. One of the borrowers must be a first time home buyer, and there are income limits. And let's talk super quickly about what qualifies you from being a first time home buyer. And the answer to that is if you haven't owned in the past 3 years. USDA loans are one of our 0% down options. You must be eligible. There are certain debt to income ratios that you must meet here, and the home that you're looking to buy must be in an eligible rural area, which actually is interesting because if you look at the map, there's actually
They have, yeah.
yeah, there's different maps.
Yeah, I was gonna say they actually have a website where you can type in. So I don't remember the website, but I can probably figure it out. But if
Yeah.
you type in an address, it'll say like if it's a USDA approved, and I think you can't have more than like what is it, 5 acres, up to 5 acres for the USDA loan. You can't have more than 5 acres.
Okay. Yeah. And also, it's interesting. It's always worth checking out because some of those like places will surprise you what they deem is eligible for that.
Right.
Yeah. So our next 0% down loan option is the VA loan, which is only available to qualified veterans and military. But if you have served or are serving, make sure you check that box, and we can definitely check out that option. Sometimes it may not be the best option for you either, but talking to your loan officer and making sure that you're also make sure they're doing diligence in that. We've got our THGA or our local down assistant, oh my goodness, assistance.
Let's go.
Down payment assistance. What's wrong with our brains today? Which is great for Tennessee folks. The company I work for, we have quite a few options for down payment assistance. So we can find out which one works best for you. We also have options for people who are not first time home buyers. So make sure that you look into that.
Just to chime in, though, I've recently learned after 3 years, if you haven't owned a property in Tennessee in 3 years, you will be considered a first time home buyer again.
Yeah,
So,
that's great.
yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that's good to note because a lot of people get tied up with that.
Right.
So yeah,
Right.
let's head into the Q&A section.
Okay, so let's get into that. What's everyone thinking? Ashley, what do you say when someone asks, like, what's the actual minimum, credit score I need to bring to closing?
Yeah,
What's the actual, I'm sorry, what's the
no, you're
actual
good.
minimum, like, dollar amount I need to bring to closing?
Yeah, sure. It depends, obviously, but there are down payments, which the down payment obviously depends on which loan type, which can start at 0% to 10% down, and then closing costs, which are usually around 3 to 6% of the loan amount. But we can actually reduce those with seller credits, local grants, and even down payment assistance programs. And no, Mercedes, cinnamon rolls don't count as a payment. We've already talked about this.
Dang it, those things are so good.
I know, but still, no.
But what if they're homemade?
No.
Oh. Okay, so I've heard 0% down loans are a trap. Is that true?
A trap, please. The only trap here is thinking you have to drain your savings to get a house. VA and USDA loans are legitimate loans that are backed by the government, not some sketchy dude in a trench coat whispering 0 down behind a gas station.
Oh, go away, go away. Okay, so what credit score do I need to qualify?
Yeah, so generally FHA starts at 580, but with a few compensating factors, we can actually go as low as a 500 credit score. You might just need to put a little bit more down.
Yeah.
And then with conventional, it starts around 620. Obviously, the higher the score, the better your rate, but we can work with you. Credit isn't about perfection, it's always about consistency.
Correct. I think they like to see 30% usage of your credit anyway. Like people are like, let me pay it down to 0, but they actually don't like to see that. So
No, don't go and just pay everything off unless you want your credit.
foreclose. Yeah.
Yes, I've heard that if you do that, I had a friend or coworker that had that happen where it like the credit score just disappeared after they did that. And so we do have loans that support that, but it gets tricky because you do have a credit past. So just
Right.
be mindful on that.
Okay. So then I ask somebody for money at the closing table?
Yeah, absolutely. Many buyers use gift funds. We just need to document it properly. And no, you can't write from grandma's cookie jar in the memo line. We're
So my
roasting this girl.
cinnamon rolls and cookies, man. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, let's pause because even if you can buy with little or no money down, should you?
Well, let's talk about, I guess, like, are you tired of renting? Do you have a stable income? Are you open to learning and maybe waiting a little bit, but you have to learn about the process before you can kind of do the process, right? And then you also have to have a good team, which is us. Hello.
And if that team includes someone who can whip up a 3-bed, 2-bathroom, and some banana bread, even better.
Absolutely. I also want to take a minute to talk about rates here because I think a lot of people get hung up on this, especially right now, because rates right now are in the 6 and 7s, and that concerns a lot of people. But we do have options. There are things that are called rate buy down programs. We can do a temporary buy down, or we can do a permanent buy down. I had a client a couple months ago. I think we quoted him a 7.2 and he was able to purchase down to 5 in the high fives. And that was pretty cheaply actually compared to other people. So like we do have options in that. And then you also are probably asking, well, what if I buy and then rates go even lower after I purchase? Short answer is we refinance, but at least you're in your home at a lower price, building that equity and painting the kitchen the color you want while we're working on that. So speaking of prices, Mercedes, what are you seeing in the trends in the housing market today?
So, what I'm seeing is the sales prices are continuously growing. So, I like to use the example in 2020 because if you know anything about the real estate market in 2020 and 2021, the rates were like what 3 and 4, 2 and 3%. Like
Yeah,
people were literally locking in interest rates at that, and we had people coming in from different states purchasing our houses, sight unseen and things like that. I personally had a house in Manchester, Tennessee that I bought at 192.5 and I sold it to some guy in Missouri for 230,000 and
wow.
didn't even look at the house. Like he just kind of took my word for it, took it as is,
Yeah,
and paid well over what we paid just 2 years ago.
right.
So like I said, the prices are going up and they are going to continuously go up. So I think if you want like a specific house, the house that's brick with the pink door, you better get it now. Marry that house, date the rate because it's gonna change. The rate's gonna change, but unfortunately, that sales price is locked in when you get it at the closing table. And if y'all look at that graph, I know it's been a while since we've seen some bar graphs, inline graphs, and all that, but you can see that exponential growth from 2020 up until 2025. So they're still going. You could end up paying just as much or even more later down the road if you're waiting on those interest rates to go down.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Let's talk about that first time homebuyer toolkit.
All right, Ashley. Let's give them the basics. What should every
Those
time
biscuits.
biscuits, cinnamon rolls,
Biscuits.
and cookies, all
Correct.
homemade. What should every first-time home buyer do today if they think they want to buy this year?
Yeah. So first, what we can do is we can pull your credit, and I can do what's called a soft check, so we don't ding your credit. Um, that we can. It only shows 2 out of the 3 scores. So as long as we're not pulling all 3 scores, you're good. We can check your budget, know what you're going to be paying in rent versus what you could afford in a mortgage, and talk about equity, because I think that's really important. I have like this little software that I can kind of show you over 5 years what that looks like, what you would be paying in rent versus what you could be paying in mortgage, and getting that equity built up. It's actually a pretty nifty looking thing. So the third thing we can do is we can get you pre-approved. Even if you're not ready to buy this month, it gives you power. If you find that house that you're like, oh my gosh, I need this, then you're ready to go. Like you've got everything set. And those are good for about 3 months before we have to redo the numbers. So you've got some time in there. And then number 4, you can always DM us for free. We have a first-time homebuyer checklist made just for this market today, so make sure you get on that and ask us about that. The biggest myth I think we roasted today, that you need a mountain of cash to start. You don't. You just need information and the right people in your corner.
Yes, ma'am. And if that's you, we're ready when you are. Buying your first home might be easier than you think, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Mercedes, is there anything else before we wrap up? I know this wasn't kind of planned, but I just wanted to make sure that there's nothing else on top of mind before we wrap up today.
Let me see if I have any questions from anybody on Facebook.
Yeah,
Do you
absolutely.
have?
I don't see anything in my chat, no.
Okay. Well, I only got a couple of people watching, so I don't see anything. I do want to mention though, you said you had mentioned a soft pull, which is really good because a lot of people think, excuse me, a
Yeah.
lot of people think when they're going and getting pre-approved, number one, pre-approval, you're not immediately committing to something. What
Correct.
you're doing is you're seeing what your manpower is in the market, like what you can afford, um, what you qualify for, like basically when you go into the market you look like a serious buyer. A lot of the times, especially those big nice houses or even those normal houses nowadays, the average person house, they're asking for pre-approval letters from people before they step foot into their house because they want to know, if y'all are serious or what. But yeah, I just kind of backtrack. But get pre-approved. That is always the first step. And if you don't know a lender, your realtor that you're working with knows a lender. So I mean, they can
Yeah.
always refer you to somebody. Get pre-approved. You're not being committed to anything. You're going to have more power in the market. You're going to know exactly where you're at. And it's just a really good first step. And I think when you get pre-approved, credit lasts for like 90 or 60 to 90 days or something like that.
Yeah.
Uh, so like you're not in a rush really, because even if it does expire in those 90 days, all you have to do is revisit what your work history and all that, just to make sure
Yeah.
you had a job or you didn't close out any of those credit cards that you have or
Yeah.
something like that. So yeah, I just want to reiterate how important pre-approval is for not just you, but for the realtor that you're working with. It shows that you're serious. Um, and yeah, you just know exactly where you are in the market. So
Yeah,
yeah.
and to kind of go off of that, I think it's important to also talk about pre-qualification versus pre-approval. So pre-qual is basically the companies that you kind of that are big name. I'm not going to name any, but we've got the big name ones that will look at how much money you make, maybe your credit, and then say, oh, you can afford this much house. They're not actually looking at your bank statements, your W-2s, your tax returns. Pre-approval is where they look at literally all of that information and making sure that you actually can afford and what you want to afford, and can actually pay those monthly payments. So pre-qual versus pre-approval. Pre-approval is way more powerful in the long run, because I've seen pre-qualifications like fall through last minute because they didn't do due diligence. So just be mindful of that. Um, so I guess we are at the end of our time together. I just wanted to make sure that everybody follows me on Ashli Priestcorn on Facebook and Mrs. Ashli Priestcorn on Instagram. I'm always sharing loan tips and buyer wins.
Yeah, and make sure you're following my Facebook business page, Mercedes Story, brokered by Simply Home. And then also, I did want to say, Ashley, just a shout out to you. She's very personable. I know a lot of mortgage lenders, they send you a link and they're like, fill this out. I've always been told, like, if you get a random link that you don't know nothing about, it's usually a scam. Do not put your do not put your personal information on it. But the good thing about Ashley is she'll be there to walk you through, explain everything, like talk to you even beforehand, and it's just like a really like you're dealing with a person. So I feel like that's very important.
Thanks. I feel the same about you, though, on the realtor side, girl. Thanks for that shout out. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
also, you're so involved and you love your people, and so I'm like, I love getting to know you and who you are and learn more about you. We were talking about the sports we were doing in high school and stuff
yeah,
earlier, and it sounds like we had a pretty similar experiences. So,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, awesome. Well,
Okay.
just to reiterate, you don't have to have it all figured out today. Just take the first step. Let's get a free 30-minute discovery call booked and see what your options are today. Just place a house emoji in the comments and we'll reach out with that calendar link. But not only will you get that link, we'll also send a relevant first-time homebuyer guide that's relevant for today's market to you. Thanks for listening to the Real Estate Roast. We love to walk this journey with you. Just remember, buying a house off of Zillow photos is like online dating. You'll show up and realize the natural light was a ring light and lies.
That ain't right. Yeah.
All right. Thanks for tuning in. And until next time, keep dreaming big and take one step at a time. You've got
Yeah.
this.
All right. See y'all. Bye.
Bye.